Serta Comfort. Wrap up in comfort today with Serta Eye Comfort. Find a retailer at sertaretailers.com.
Lake News Now.
Roadwork projects and plans for some economic development ideas topping the agenda for the Camdenton Board of Aldermen. From the KRMS Radio Newsroom, I'm Ruben Perdue. Camdenton's Board of Aldermen will learn more about a pair of projects that could lead to economic growth in the area when they meet Tuesday night. City Administrator Jeff Hancock's report includes details on a proposed study to develop a soccer complex near Walmart and the creation of a business incubator to help start up businesses. They'll also be awarding bids for a $12,000 restriping project on Business Route 5, a $119,000+ street overlay project, and a nearly $48,000 rebuild on Suzanne Drive. Tuesday's meeting begins at 6 p.m. The Morgan County R2 School Board will hold multiple meetings tonight. They've got a special session scheduled for 7 o'clock to certify election results. That'll be followed by reorganization, including the swearing in of board members and appointing a secretary. The regular meeting will begin at approximately 7:15. During that meeting, they'll discuss salaries, the 2018-19 school calendar, and an increase in health insurance premiums that becomes effective on June 1st. Those meetings will be held in the middle school library. It was a very quiet weekend for the Highway Patrol in the Tri-County area. There were no reported incidents on the water, only 3 arrests made on the roads. 33-year-old Devin Davis of Camdenton faces a charge of DWI prior offender, speeding, no insurance, and no license. 2 others, a 44-year-old woman from Camdenton and a 74-year-old man from Crocker, were taken in for misdemeanor warrants. Want to remind you the Bagnell Dam scheduled for closure today and Tuesday for additional pavement work. Work is scheduled to take place between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. Motorists can use Route 242 as an alternate route. For news anytime, go to krmsradio.com.
This news brought to you by State Fair Community College. Why attend State Fair Community College in Osage Beach or Eldon? It's close to home for general education classes and degrees in career and technical programs, including education, management, and nursing. State Fair's small classes and one-on-one interaction with teachers gives you a great start for what's next. Now enrolling for summer and fall classes. Call 573-348-0888. Learn more, do more at State Fair Community College at the Lake.
I'm meteorologist Nick Carlisle with your News Talk KRMS Weather Eye Forecast. We'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine throughout the area today with highs approaching 50, with a gusty northwest wind between 15 and 20 miles per hour. And then for later tonight, skies will stay clear with temperatures falling back down into the upper 30s. And then on Tuesday, sunshine, high near 71. The current water temperature brought to you by Captain Ron's Bar and Grill, home of the Shootout, is 45.9, and the temp at the studios, right now it's 31.
Stop scrubbing your bottom for heaven's sakes. Just stop by and see us. Come lift at the lake.
Hey, how's that boat lift working out for you?
Not too good. One of my tanks sprung a leak.
Well, at least they're under warranty.
No, it's not. I should have bought an Econo lift. They've got a lifetime warranty on their tanks, and they do all their own service work right out of the factory.
They probably hired out.
Nope, they don't use any contractors. The same people that install it service it.
Should have gotten an Econo lift.
Should have got an Econo lift.
Come lift at the lake.
Why have over 3 million guys switched to Harry's razors? Because at Harry's, we give you less. We make just one razor with 5 German-engineered blades. Ding! All you need for a smooth and comfortable shave. And we got rid of upcharges. By owning the factory and cutting out the middleman, we're able to sell our high-quality blades for half the price of the other guys. Now we're dropping the half-price sound effects guy.
Wait, why?
Not everyone can give you high quality for a fraction of the price. Harry's, one perfect razor, none of the extra noise. As a special offer for radio listeners, get an $18 shave set with an added bonus for free when you visit harrys.com and use code 2525 at checkout. Just cover a few bucks for shipping. That's harrys.com, code 2525 for a free shave set offer. Again, it's harrys.com, code 2525. Please note, no sound effects guys were harmed in the making of this radio recording.
Mike Anderson here, president of First Bank of the Lake, Osage Beach. We are pleased to offer you some of the best CD rates at the lake. Our new CD special terms and rates with a minimum opening balance of $5,000 are based on the following annual percentage yields.
Thanks, Mike. 6 months 1.1% APY, 9 months 1.66%, 15 months 1.86%, 26 months 2.02%, 33 months 2.12%, and 42 months 2.27%.
First Bank of the Lake, located at the entrance of the Outlet Mall, or find us at firstbanklake.com.
Member FDIC. Other terms and conditions may apply. Contact bank for more details.
If you've got aches, pains, and soreness, it could be chronic inflammation. Listen to what Dave has to say about Relief Factor.
I was in a sawmill accident and suffered with pain and discomfort for 60 years. I heard about Relief Factor and decided to order it. And in 4 days, I was walking without a limp and without pain. I am thrilled.
For more information about Relief Factor and the 2-week quick start for just $19.95, go to relieffactor.com. That's relieffactor.com.
Welcome to A Dash of Salt, where we debunk myths and shake up what you think you know about salt. Myth number 1 comes from Michael T.
The older you get, the less salt you should have. Everyone knows that.
Okay, let's shake it up. Here's the truth. In older people, a low-salt diet could actually be bad. It could result in a lack of thirst, which leads to dehydration. Also, getting the right amount of salt can help reduce confusion or loss of cognition.
I hate being wrong, but that's actually pretty awesome.
It's true. Everything's better with a little salt. Join us next time on A Dash of Salt and find out more at alittlesalt.org.
150 now to
9 lakefront cabins on 4 acres, 140 feet of lakefront, 6 well docked. Starting bid $100,000, then sells to high bidder April 21st. Visit BryantAuction.com or call 346-4777.
150 now to 150 now 200,000.
3-bedroom home on 7 acres, 150 feet of lakefront, boat ramp, 9 mobile pads, all rented. Swimming pool. Starting bid $100,000. Visit BryantAuction.com or call 573-346-4777.
You want to know what's going on tonight, this weekend, or later at the lake? Check out LakeGetOut.com, the definitive source for what to do at the lake, what bands are playing, and where. Theater, fish fries, fishing tournaments, church or city events, open houses, and a whole lot more. It's all on LakeGetOut.com. You can even submit your event for free on LakeGetOut.com, a free service of the creators of LakeJob.com. KRMS and 93.5 rocks the lake.
Go on and get out tonight. LakeGetOut.com.
The views expressed during this program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Viper Broadcasting. Please limit your calls to 1 per hour. Live from Studio C, it's the KRMS Morning Magazine. Your phone calls are welcome at 573-302-7000 or call toll-free 1-866-372-1270. Now, here's hour number 1 of the KRMS Morning Magazine on News Talk 1150, KRMS, and 97.5 KRMS FM.
Good morning. 9:10 is our time, and you are listening to the Morning Magazine on News Talk KRMS. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us on this chilly Monday morning, but I promise things are going to warm up. I promise. It is my solemn duty as the announcer on this end of the radio to promise you that things are going to warm up, because I think, quite frankly, we've all had enough. This is the 16th day of April, and it is 32 degrees. I don't know, did they allow it to, they did. Fortunately, they did allow the freeze warning to expire. So right at 32 degrees, that's good news. I guess it's a good start. Now, if we could get some more of these clouds out of here and start working a little bit more diligently to get up to the afternoon high of around 50 degrees, I think that would help folks out even more. 50 degrees is where we're headed, with a low tonight of around 37. Then clouds, a few anyway, tomorrow, 71 the high, 54 the low. Clear on Wednesday with a high of 65, the low 39. Thursday, clear with a high of 59, the low of 40. Friday, a blend of clouds and sun, 62 the high, 45 the low. Still looking at the possibility of some scattered showers on Saturday, a day when we don't need any precipitation. And maybe a few degrees warmer would be nice, too. I'm not asking for much. I mean, this is the Lake of the Ozarks. This is the time of year we enjoy having folks come down here and visit. We do have some events going on Saturday where we'd like the weather to be a bit more Chamber of Commerce-ish, if that's possible. 60 for the high, 45 for the low on Saturday, and again, a chance of maybe a scattered shower. Nothing showing up on our in-studio Doppler weather radar as I lumber around the studio here this morning. Good gravy. Miller, Morgan, Camden counties looking precipitation-free, and that goes along for the rest of the state of Missouri as well. We had some activity earlier this morning right along the eastern edge. Still seeing some activity, possibly some light snow for folks around the St. Louis metro area and to the north of the St. Louis metro area. Most of this is pushing to the east-southeast, and we are certainly not seeing anything in our neck of the woods at this point. 9:13. Let's bring on our first guest. He is the author of Good Gun, Bad Guy, also the author of Good Gun, Bad Guy 2. His name is Dan Wos, and he joins us this morning on KRMS. Dan, good morning to you.
Hey, KB, thanks for having me on your show. It's despite the anti-American rhetoric we get from the mainstream media, it is a good day to be an American.
It is. You're absolutely right. And some events going on over the weekend in a number of states, I believe, where you are. And then there was a rally here in the state of Missouri at the state capitol for folks showing their support and love of the Second Amendment. I know you said you were going to be out at an event where, in Albany?
Yes, I was there in Albany, and I got I had a great chance to meet a lot of great people. We had our militia was out helping organize things. We ended up doing a march. We didn't have a permit at the city capital of Albany, so we had to march. We had to keep moving. There was a permit held by a global warming group, some science group. So they were speaking and stuff. So unfortunately, we Patriots didn't get the permit, so we had to keep moving. But it was great. We had probably between 1,000 to 1,500, Patriots marching, and so it was a great turnout.
Did you happen to notice? Were there any media outlets on hand? Any of the local affiliates there in the Albany area? Any of the big guns, Fox or CNN or anybody like that taking a little time to just see what was going on?
We had some local media. We didn't have. I don't remember seeing a heck of a lot of national media on this. Our local media was somewhat respectful, and but they misinterpreted the numbers. We had over 1,000 people, and they said there were hundreds. Mm-hmm. So it's all in the narrative and how they portray it. But overall, I got some numbers for you. Utah was over 1,000. Maine did really well, almost 1,000. Indianapolis, Indiana was 2,000 plus. Austin, Texas did 300. Kentucky did well. Colorado, I just talked to my friend Paul Arnold from Bama Cary in Alabama. He said they did well. So across the country, we all did well, and it was a great day just because you could this weekend determine the difference between Patriots and keyboard warriors. Mm-hmm. The Patriots got out there, and it was a great turnout. From what I can see now all across the country, it was good. The media won't necessarily report that, but that doesn't matter. We know who we are.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about it, because, my Lord, you would have thought the world had come to a complete and total stop several weeks ago when they had the big rally in Washington, D.C. and other places around the country for what happened in Parkland, Florida. And what are we finding out about these kids? Because I'll tell you what, I see the one kid's face, David Hogg, pop up occasionally on social media, and it's normally some kind of a slam against this kid. But what are we finding out? Because it seems like a lot of the rhetoric has really been, I don't know if you want to call it subdued, or is more subtle, or they're not going after it quite as hard as they were several weeks ago. What are you hearing in your neck of the woods, Dan?
I think the media is done with the kids. They seem to have used them for all they're worth, and now you probably won't see that much of David Hogg anymore because they've used him to his full extent. And it's unfortunate. Nobody really likes this kid because of the bad things he's said about the Second Amendment, NRA, and things like that. But he's been a victim of the manipulation himself. I mean, it seems to me like the media really used him, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those people were paid. There were people behind it that funded the move and funded. There was buses and shipping people in and all sorts of stuff that costed money. It was a big event that high school kids just couldn't put together. Yeah. So I kind of look at it like the kids were manipulated and used as pawns, and seemed to be used to be a new, fresh face of the wretched old anti-gun Democratic Party.
And then it all kind of seemingly started settling down, it seems like, for the NRA as well. I mean, we haven't heard anybody going off on the NRA like we did during the time that all of this was going on. So I guess, as usual, they're kind of put out there. They've been down this road before. They understand and realize that people are going to come after them regardless if they have any dog in the fight or not. And now we're not just hearing much of anything from these kids or from anybody anymore. Some groups are still actively involved, I would imagine, but nowhere near the amount of people that were once a part of this fight. And it seems like the type of thing that happens constantly in this country, regardless of the subject matter. You get some folks fired up, and they're fired up for a couple of weeks, and then the next thing you know, they're back on, what is the president doing wrong, or what big scandal is popular now in Washington D.C. And then the whole gun legislation talk, the common sense gun laws is I love that term because it sounds so stupid, yeah. But it's really kind of gone by the wayside at this point. So. I guess the thing to do now would be for all of these people that support the Second Amendment, that believe in the Second Amendment, this is the time for these folks to be continuing to do what they're doing. If it's hundreds, if it's thousands, if it's hundreds of thousands, continue meeting, continue gaining strength, and making sure that our Second Amendment rights are safe, and that groups like this that want to use kids in order to popularize their movement don't get a serious foothold.
Yeah, and there's a lot of kids who are conservative kids in high school, and even some that are coming up now into college. So I think what we're going to see over the next generation is the face of that liberal progressive college kid. I think that's going to start to die off, and I think more conservative kids are going to start to come in. But you said common sense, and this term common sense is so ridiculous because the only reason that, like, you've heard the saying, well, from the liberal progressives, well, we support your Second Amendment, but we think we need common sense gun restrictions. Well, that common sense is put in there so gun owners just look irrational for not going along with whatever scam the anti-gunners are pushing. So anytime you hear that word common sense, it's whatever they're pushing is the exact opposite.
Yeah, and that's pretty wild when you think about it that way. In the book, Good Gun, Bad Guy 2, you go through and you really try to define some of the things that the people are saying. For example, common sense gun laws. That's one of the topics that you address, and I know there are a few others in the book as well, because to hear them, it makes it sound like everything's okay, like we're going after this with the right with the right approach, when in reality, and you might want to talk about a couple of those other terms this morning as well. These terms that sound good, but the meaning is far from what it is that they're trying to accomplish here.
Well, yeah, common sense is a real good one for them. I mean, it works because who wouldn't want to have common sense? And not only that, we all want to think we have common sense. We're sensible people. If you're labeled to not have common sense, that doesn't feel good, and people know that. The people who are using that term know that doesn't feel good to people. So it's a natural instinct to want to try to side with that argument. Well, yeah, I have common sense. Okay, well, then, and the people who don't know any better will go along with any gun restriction that they're pushing at that time. So they say, well, yeah, I have common sense. It makes sense to me. I agree with this gun restriction. And But that's all it is. It's just a tactic. It really is not common sense, because most of these, all the gun restrictions are just ridiculous, and the only thing they do is restrict good people, and they do nothing to deter crime or criminals. But there's all sorts of terms. We talked about this. You and I, KB, have talked about these terms all the time. Like automatic weapon. They love to mix up automatic and semi-automatic. Because it's scary for people who don't know any better. They'll use it. Hillary Clinton used it all the time. Automatic this, automatic that, when she knew exactly what she was talking about. We're talking about semi-automatic rifles, and she would continue to use automatic because she knew that people would relate automatic to the spraying of bullets. And it's just not true, but it works in their narrative, and it helps scare people.
9:23 is our time. Dan Wos is our guest. And, Dan, we're going to take a quick break here. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some of these companies that have been jumping on board the anti-gun train, if you will. The likes of Dick's Sporting Goods, who has decided that not only will they not sell certain types of rifles and magazines, they won't sell them. They're actually going to destroy them. And in the process of doing this, they could be destroying their business as well. 9:24 is our time, 33 degrees. It's the Morning Magazine on KRMS.
You've heard your mechanic talk about how your car doesn't run well when the filter's dirty, right? Well, it's the same thing with your home's heating and cooling system. And B&B Heating and Cooling wants to make sure your home feels just right. So every Friday, it's Free Filter Friday at B&B Heating and Cooling. Once you sign up at bbhvac.com or stop by their location, you'll get one free filter once a month. For more info, go to bbhvac.com or freefilterfriday.com.
Just right, never felt so good. B&B Heating and Cooling.
Where can I find a dock pump for my fish cleaning station?
Bowling Electric has those.
Where can I go to replace my irrigation pump?
Bowling Electric has those.
Where can I find LED bulbs and hard-to-find light bulbs?
Bowling Electric has those.
Where can I go to find a fountain pump?
Bowling Electric has all those and much more. For the best service for over 40 years, go see Bowling Electric, located on North Business 5 in Camdenton, for all your electric motor and pump needs.
It's clearance time at Home Comfort Furnishings in Osage Beach, and that means savings throughout the store during our clearance sale. All clearance and discontinued items are a result of overstocked, discontinued, or as-is products. We have bar stools, dining room sets, living rooms, and bedrooms on sale. All items are in new condition unless otherwise noted. Hurry! Sale ends when items are gone. These items are sold as is. They are non-returnable, non-refundable, but very affordable during the clearance sale going on now at Home Comfort Furnishings, the lake's only full-line Ashley dealer on the Parkway in Osage Beach.
My good friends, you have heard me wax eloquently for years now about Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor. So when you hear Mahindra, I'm sure a hardworking, reliable, and bright red tractor is the first thing that comes to mind. But my good friends at Mahindra have an all-new utility vehicle, too. It's called the Mahindra Retriever, and it's built from the ground up right here in America. And listen to these specs. 83 horsepower engine, 60 mile per hour top speed, 2,500 pounds of towing capacity, and a 3-year warranty. So hurry in, see your Mahindra dealer for a test drive, or learn more about Mahindra tractors and the new Retriever at MahindraUSA.com.
Take advantage of rock-bottom prices and test drive a Mahindra today at Diamond R Equipment in Freeburg and Higginsville, or visit DiamondREquipment.com. That's DiamondREquipment.com.
Now you can listen to high-definition stereo HD with new HD radios available for purchase here at KRMS Radio. For just $35, you can tune into your favorite classic rock, classic country, news talk KRMS, or the smooth, relaxing sounds of the Cove in crystal clear stereo. Right now, we have a limited supply of these radios right here at the studios of KRMS in Osage Beach. So don't wait. Get yours today for just $35 and start enjoying your favorite stations in HD.
But I like to get to know you. Yes, I would.
Come say hello at this week's West Side Social at JJ's at the Copper Pot. For over 8 years, it's still the only weekly networking social at the Lake of the Ozarks. Have fun, pass referrals, enjoy complimentary gourmet hors d'oeuvres. This week's sponsor, U.S. Bank and U.S. Bank Investments. There's no dues to pay, so join us and come say hello. Thursday, starting at 5 at JJ's at the Copper Pot, North Highway 5 Laurie. Brought to you by News Talk KRMS, 93.5 Rocks the Lake, and the new Classic Country 104.9.
News, sports, weather. Hear it first, right here.
I made the switch.
News Talk KRMS.
927, 34 degrees. Here we go. Now we're moving. We'll be up to that high of 50 in no time. Thanks for joining us on the KRMS Morning Magazine. Hour number 2, we'll be talking with Cindy Van Hook and Susie Danforth about some of the good things they're going to be doing in the month of May on the Parkway West. Plus, we'll be talking with Mary Kay Von Brendel. More interesting news about who's coming to the Ozarks Amphitheater for 2018. I want to pass along some information here. Zaxby's will be holding a fundraising event for School of the Osage, their upper elementary PTA, to help build a playground for the kids. It says come down between 5 and 9 on Tuesday, April 24th. That is a week from tomorrow. There will be another next month, and so they are trying to help these kids with a fundraiser to build a playground. School of the Osage Upper Elementary PTA, and this event going on Tuesday, April the 24th at Zaxby's in Osage Beach between 5 and 9. Stop by. 9:28, Dan Wos is our guest. And Dan, I was reading an article this morning about Dick's Sporting Goods and what Dick's Sporting Goods has decided to do. Not to only stop selling certain types of rifles and magazines, but they're going to destroy them as well. Let me give you a little background on the article here. Dick's Sporting Goods has announced plans to destroy the modern sporting rifles, magazines, and accessories they pulled from their shelves in recent weeks. That's the word from a corporate spokesperson. Asked about pallets of inventory removed from displays nationwide, the sporting goods dealer's mouthpiece said the firearms would be destroyed at regional distribution centers and the parts sent to a salvage yard for recycling. Now, this is not the only thing that they've done to maybe lose some business, but they will no longer be selling the assault-style rifles, also referred to as modern sporting rifles. They've already removed them from all Dick's stores after the Sandy Hook massacre, but they will now remove them from sale at all 35 Field and Stream stores. They will no longer sell firearms to anyone under 21 years of age. They will no longer sell high-capacity magazines. They never have and never will sell bump stocks that allow semi-automatic weapons to fire more rapidly. At the same time, they implore our elected officials to enact common-sense gun reform. There's that phrase again, common-sense gun reform, and pass the following regulations. Ban assault-style firearms, raise the minimum age to purchase firearms to 21, ban high-capacity magazines and bump stocks, require universal background checks that include relevant mental health information and previous interactions with the law, ensure a complete universal database of those banned from buying firearms, and close the private sale and gun show loophole that waives the necessity of background checks. So that's what they're looking at doing, and apparently it's hurting them at the cash register, Dan.
Well, I love watching their insanity shine through, and it probably would hurt them. Most definitely will hurt them. From a profit and loss standpoint, it's just not a good idea. But if this is how we have to remember that when we think about Dick's Sporting Goods or any other big company, we think about a big company. But there are people who run these companies, and these people have these ideas in their head, and they've been programmed to think certain things about guns. These people who are making these decisions are scared and angry with gun owners, and because of the whole narrative, the whole anti-gun narrative. So if that's what's got to happen, where they have to do all this nonsense and only a year or 2 years down the road learn that they shot themselves in the foot because they lost a ton of money, well, then let's watch them go through this. I personally don't care. I won't shop there anymore. And there are many other places that I won't shop. And the thing is, in this country, there are a third to a half of the country are gun owners. So what kind of message does that send to real Americans, real Constitution-loving and Bill of Rights-loving Americans when a company does that? Because they're not focused on the real problem. They're not focused on the bad guys, the criminal intent, the insanity, the mental issues. They're not focused on any of that stuff, which is what the cause of the problem is. The cause of violence in our country stems from. No, they won't look at the cause. They only look at the gun because that helps support the narrative of the anti-gun narrative, and it also keeps them in good graces with their fellow anti-gunners. And so they're going to ultimately pay for it in the cash register. And if that's what they need to do, then let them.
We got a couple of callers, but I just wanted to kind of chime in on this. The stock price isn't far above its 5-year low and lost 5.52% on Friday the 13th alone. Got a couple of callers. Callers, I see you there. I'll get to you as quickly as possible. Caller, thank you for holding. You're on KRMS. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. You brought up a great point, KB, about the common sense, and so did your guest there about this common sense stuff. But, the gun show loophole is another absolute misnomer. It's not like that if you go to a gun show at some magical place that anybody can go in there and just buy guns willy-nilly without any kind of checks or what have you. Only individuals within that gun show selling their own individual collections,
right,
just the same as they would out on the street. So that's another one of those misnomers, just like the common sense garbage.
Thank you for the phone call. Let's take another call. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for the information. I didn't need a reason to stop going in the Dick's because their prices are extremely high anyway. But you just give me one, and no problem. I'll help them go out of business.
All right.
Thank you for the phone call this morning. Appreciate it. Let's take another phone call. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS. Go right ahead. Caller, you with us?
Yes.
Go ahead.
What exactly is an assault rifle or weapon? I can have a stick, and if I'm beating somebody with it, that's an assault weapon. So what exactly is an assault rifle?
That's a good question. I don't think anybody can answer that, especially the anti-gunners. They have so many definitions of an assault rifle or assault weapon, they can't answer it themselves. It's a great question to ask them when they use the term. Here's what I say. A lot of people consider assault rifle to have a scope or a lug or a detachable magazine or a muzzle brake or any number of things. So I'll say, just so we're clear, just so I understand what we're talking about, could you please define assault weapon for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I see people with crossed eyes. They don't know how to answer the question. So it's what a great question.
And then it kind of stops them dead in their tracks.
It does, because they really don't know what they're talking about. The people who use that term are people who've never shot a gun, never held a gun, never owned a gun, never knowingly have been in the same room with a gun.
Well, as far as the situation surrounding Dick's Sporting Goods, that's one particular avenue, but then all of these other businesses out there that are trying to get their jabs in as well, no longer honoring NRA discounts in their businesses and certain other things like that. You mentioned that a third to half the country owns a firearm of some sort or more than one. And really, I think you try to make a stand in such a way that you think you're really doing something, when in reality you're hurting yourself at the cash register. And I think a lot of the businesses that have decided to participate for one reason or another are certainly going to see something a little less than what they wanted to see as far as their bottom line when it's all said and done.
Well, and here's the important thing, KB. These companies have a financial responsibility to their shareholders. And if they lose money for their shareholders, they're going to pay the price a year or 2 years down the road. So this is just we're going to wait to see this unfold, and I'd like to keep track of the stock price for Dick's and other companies like that tend to be anti-gun, because their shareholders ultimately are in it for to make a profit, And when they start losing money, they're gonna get they're gonna get some kickback or feedback rather.
Yes, quite a bit to the tune of people losing jobs. 9:37. Let's take another phone call for Dan Wos. Caller, good morning. You're on KRMS.
Well, good morning. Why don't they change the nomenclature of an assault weapon to a defense weapon? Everything's an assault weapon. No, it's a defense weapon.
Well, yeah. Well, they should, but they won't, because assault weapon is much more effective in scaring people that don't know any better. You and I know better. Well, they don't. So that's why they use it, and they'll continue to use it no matter how much we try to correct them on it, because they really don't care to be honest.
Well, I've got an assault weapon here at home. She's 70 years old. I'll let you guys go.
You just couldn't do that.
Thanks for the call. I couldn't let that one go.
I was just going to say, you just could not let it go.
No.
That's all right. You better be careful now. If she's been listening to the radio, you better duck.
No, she's at work. That's why I can talk.
Oh, very good. Well, she might listen at work, too. Thanks for the phone call.
I'll see you.
Yes, he's got a 70-year-old assault weapon in his house. And he better make sure he sleeps with one eye open, Dan.
That's right.
And that's a very interesting way to look at all of this, through fear. Because so many people that are anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment have never owned a firearm. They don't know how to properly use it. They don't know how to properly load it. They don't know how to properly clean it. They don't know how to properly store it. They have absolutely zero education. They've more than likely never held one or been out on a gun range to fire a weapon. And those are the people that they're going after here, and those are the people that seemingly you're hearing the most out of. They're the loudest when it comes to doing anything in regard to the Second Amendment and trying to find more of these, again, common sense gun laws that everybody keeps talking about. I don't know, and maybe we can do this after the break, if we can describe what some of these people consider common sense gun laws or common sense gun legislation. Maybe we'll take some time and do that after the break. Dan Wos is my guest. Phone lines are open, 302-7000, 877-330-1150. Having a great conversation with Dan, and we'd love for you to be a part of that conversation as well in the Morning Magazine here on News Talk KRMS.
If your nonprofit, club, group, or civic organization has an event it would like to have announced on KRMS and 93.5 Rocks, send it at least 3 weeks in advance to PSA@KRMSradio.com. The community calendar is sponsored by Clayton Electric Services, Tire Biters Peanut Pub, Central Missouri Building Inspections, JJ's at the Copper Pot, Mills & Sons Insurance, RJ's Family Restaurant, Prime Lending, Lake Collision Repair, and presented by KRMS and 93.5 Rocks the Lake.
What's that sound? That's the sound of the dock lifeguard, warning you it's not safe to be in the water around your boat dock. Dock lifeguard will always warn you if there's hazardous electricity on or around your dock. Keep your family safe with a dock lifeguard on your dock. With dock lifeguard, there's always a lifeguard on duty. Your dock may be safe, but your neighbors may not. Stop by Dock Realty on Bagnell Dam Boulevard to see a demonstration of the dock lifeguard system. Visit docklifeguard.com or call 434-6453.
Big O Tires, we think it's important to say yes.
Honey, I really want to take a vacation this year.
That's a big oh no. We're going to need new tires.
Vacations or tires? At Big O Tires, we know it's always easier to say yes. So right now, let us help you say yes with buy 3 tires, get 1 free on select sets of tires at Big O.
Honey, Mom and Dad want to go too.
Well, maybe not always yes, but when it comes to the best deals on tires, it's always a Big O yes. Buy 3 tires, get 1 free right now at Big O Tires.
Discovered over a century and a half ago, Bridal Cave continues to amaze those who venture through it. As you tour through Bridal Cave, you'll see massive onyx formations, giant columns, and the one and only Mystery Lake. Bridal Cave's unique stalactite-adorned bridal chapel has provided a truly unique backdrop for over 3,000 couples from around the world. Bridal Cave is open daily, rain or shine. Guided tours leave every few minutes. Come explore the lake's favorite natural attraction. Explore Bridal Cave today.
Remember the old muffler commercial where the mechanic says to the car owner, "You can pay me now or pay me later"? He meant the muffler was worn out, and the implication was the longer the owner waited, the higher the repair bill was going to be. So it is with Missouri's highways. MoDOT says I-70 desperately needs to be replaced, and the cost for that and other big projects will be in the billions of dollars. Time to look for solutions. Some say raise the gas tax. Missouri's tax is among the lowest in the country and hasn't been raised in more than 2 decades. Others say toll roads. Make those who use the highways pay for them, they say, especially the truckers. Their big rigs cause much more road damage than cars. Whatever the solution, something needs to be done. Missouri's roads need fixing. Remember the muffler commercial. We can pay now or pay more later. Check out our 2018 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This is Steve Pisiak. It's time to play ball.
Unbelievable!
And the Kansas City Royals play right here.
They've done it!
KRMS.
Listen.
Let's go!
Let's play ball!
It is gone! That's way back and gone! That's a base hit. 2 will score, and the Royals win it!
Sponsored in part by Bed and Biscuit, Serdike Yamaha and Porter's Building Center.
Ruben in the afternoon.
KRMS 1150, 97.5 and 103.3.
9:43 is our time, 34 degrees. Starting to see more of that sunshine. Royals begin a 3-game road trip with the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll have the first game for you tonight, 6:07. Tomorrow night, 6:07. And then 3:07 on Wednesday, which I think it might cut into a little bit of the Ozarks today with Ruben Perdue. I don't think Ruben minds stepping aside for the Royals. 9:43 is our time. Dan Wos is our guest. Phone lines open at 302-7000 or 877-330-1150. Describe to me, Dan, what would be considered in the views of anti-gunners, anti-Second Amendment folks, common sense gun laws or common sense gun legislation. What is that, or what types of things have you heard in regard to common sense gun laws?
I don't think anybody knows, because they haven't been clear on what exactly they think a common sense gun law would be. Mm-hmm. They don't even know. But it's a good talking point, and it keeps people angry and in the argument on their side. Common sense, frankly, there are no gun restrictions that have any common sense, because all gun restrictions do is restrict good people. The bad people, who the ones that we are concerned with, don't pay any attention to the laws or restrictions, whether they're tagged with the word common sense or not. So none of them. They all need to be thrown out the window, and we need to focus on the bad guys. And they won't do that. They want to come after firearms. They don't want their fellow Americans to be able to have guns because they're scared of them. So they will use every tactic, and common sense, KB, I can't tell you what it is because it doesn't make any sense. They haven't been clear. They've talked about specific little things like bump stocks and 21 age and things like that. But to define their common sense gun restrictions, I can't do it.
And that brings up another interesting point. We've got young people in our military, as young as 18 years of age, that go into basic training and are taught how to use a firearm at a very young age. But let's say, for example, they only put in a couple of years in the military and get out.
Yeah.
And they want to purchase a firearm. And those folks probably know more about firearms than a lot of people. But with an age restriction, they can't buy one. And, it's funny, and I know there's probably a gentleman out there listening this morning that talks about our men and women going into the military at a very young age, but they can't drink a beer. They can go out and train to protect our country and get into combat and kill if necessary, but they can't drink a beer. And in some cases, they can't own a firearm either. And that to me is kind of weird, because I would think the first thing that you would want to do with a young person is to prepare them for using firearms, and that would be at possibly an even younger age, where I'm not saying you actually give them the firearm, but you start with the education process of it. And here in this area, we are a rural area in a lot of particular places, but the thing about it is a lot of these kids, they learn how to use a gun when they're little. They use maybe a .22. They go squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting. And it was commonplace for a number of years to see kids driving around with gun racks in the high school parking lot with guns in them, and nobody thought twice about picking up a firearm and bringing it into a school and doing anything harmful or hateful. But now, here we are again looking at these kids like they're fragile little flowers, and they might, something might happen if they accidentally learned how to use a firearm.
Well, the age restrictions on anything is just an easy way to legislate. Because the truth is, there are young people who are very responsible, and there are some who are not. I mean, there's some who are eating Tide Pods. So we obviously can't. It wouldn't be a good idea. It wouldn't be a good idea for them to have guns, the Tide Pod eaters. But there are some, like you said, who are coming out of the military who are very responsible. They're trained. Here's the way I look at it: is there are some 15-year-olds who are very responsible, and there are some 40-year-olds who I wouldn't trust with a slingshot.
That's very true. That's very, very, very true. I think I know some of those people that you're talking about, as a matter of fact. But
I think we know a couple of them.
In all honesty, I guess, again, you have to look at these people for who they are and what they represent, and do they seem as though they could handle a firearm? And I think in most instances, you've now in a lot of schools, I think there's still a lot of schools that have trap shooting in high school and things like that, and then into college. And then there's a lot of folks that get into it professionally and for recreation. But do you think that it makes more sense to try and introduce education when these kids are younger, like, say, I don't know, in their third or fourth or fifth grade classroom, something like that, where you're not necessarily bringing firearms around, but you're bringing material in that explains what firearms are about? So, and I say that because so often you hear about maybe a kid finding his mother or father's firearm laying around, and it's loaded, and the safety's not on, and you hear about a tragic or horrific incident of a kid shooting another kid because they were playing with the family member's gun because the family member didn't know enough to put it up or keep it unloaded or what have you. Do you think it makes sense to start educating kids at a much younger age?
Yeah, definitely. And the truth about those, you hear those toddler and the gun stories. The truth about those numbers are they're minuscule. They're so tiny, a amount of those tragedies but the anti-gunners will use those stories as with everything they got. But yes, I agree. More firearms training in schools. The thing is, the antis and the left will fight this to the death because they don't want people to become comfortable with firearms. They don't want people to feel safe around them. They want people to stay in a constant fearful state. And that's their goal, because here's the thing. Fear is a lack of data, a lack of knowledge, a lack of information. This is how we are scared of things, because we don't know what's going to happen. It's like watching a horror movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is crouched up in the closet. She's scared. You see the big footsteps coming up the stairs of the killer, and you don't know what's going to happen. You're watching the movie, and you're scared. You're scared just watching it because you have no information. You don't know the outcome. What happens the second time you watch that movie? You're not scared because you know what's going to happen. You've seen it already. You have the information. The left wants to keep people in a perpetual state of fear of guns, so they would fight firearms training in schools to the end. They would fight it with everything they have. But I think we need more of it. It's exactly what we need. I think you nailed it, KB. That's perfect. And they also want to keep an anger and a hatred toward gun owners. This is why the left is so volatile against gun owners, because they've been trained, and they're continually being trained to hate gun owners and hate American tradition and hate all the good things that we have in this country and all the reasons that we are America. They're being trained to hate that. So a combination of fear, which is lack of information on guns, and a hatred toward gun owners is what keeps them going.
Let's take another phone call. Caller, appreciate you holding on. You're on KRMS. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. You know, they're also training them to believe that it's okay for the government to know your business, anything and everything you do, because if you've got nothing to hide. You know, they're forgetting about the Constitution, you know, and the irony of it is, I mean, this country has always been a country of making the American public afraid of something, you know, but it's just like the Russians are coming, you know, back in the 60s, and in the 50s and 60s, it was illegal to even associate with communism. All right. Well, all that's been thrown out. You know, we can deal with communism now with China, buy everything from Walmart through China. You know, we can deal with Russia with no big deal now, except for when it comes to the Democratic Party in the elections. But my main thing is, I want to know what you think about the issue about being 21 to buy a weapon. I have no problem with it, but before you do that, you change the law that says that 18-year-old boy and girl that's in the military can go die for the country at 18. You change that law and say, well, if they can't buy a weapon till they're 21, they can't go serve and die for this country till they're 21. Just I want to know what your thought is.
Right on. I totally agree. I agree with that. I think, you know, if you're able and they want you to fight in the military and put your own life at risk, you should have all the rights of any other American. But your caller there just said that the idea there is to just keep people scared, and he talked about the Russians are coming and things like that, and it's so true. I mean, when you can keep people scared, you can keep them under control.
9:53. We've got another caller on the line. We'll take one more phone call. Thank you for holding. You're on KRMS. Good morning.
Okay, two short things, real short. One, how many people have been killed with baseball bats? So I think we need a background investigation on baseball bats over the years. And number two, I bought a shotgun from Dick's 2 years ago. I don't know what sensible gun control is, but it took me about 9 days to get approved, and my record is impeccable. I've never had a problem anywhere else, but now, it used to be I could just buy one. Now it took me 9 days to get approved to buy a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the phone call.
If you notice, everyone calling in is a pretty good representation of what's really going on in the country, and we real Americans are all having pretty much the same conversation. But it's strange because in the mainstream media you'll hear a completely different narrative, but that mainstream media is controlled by the left, and it doesn't necessarily represent the majority of the country.
Let's take one more phone call for you, Dan, before we have to wrap it up. Caller, thank you for joining us here on KRMS.
Hey, KB, how you doing today?
Doing well, sir. What's up?
Well, I was just thinking now, I've got a suggestion. I like the idea of being 21, and I'm a Vietnam veteran, and when I was in the service, I could go to the EM club, and even though I wasn't 21, I could buy a beer because I was in the military. So why don't you have it to where if you're 21 and you've got a DD-214 that gives you an honorable discharge from the military, make that an exception and go ahead and let them buy the gun. I think everybody should have anything they want. I particularly don't care for guns, which is fine, but everybody that does, great, let them have what they want. I agree with the point to where you need more education, you need more mental help. The brains of the gun is the person that's holding it. So go after the brains. Don't go after the gun. I appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you for the phone call. Well said there. Well said by that caller, Dan.
Yeah, and education is the most important thing here. Like I said before, the more educated we are, the less fearful we are. And this is why we have driver's education classes in high school, because kids need to know, young adults need to know how to properly drive and handle a car and how to not be scared of a car. Because let's face it, when we start out, we're a little intimidated with a car, and it's the same thing with firearms. And if we're educated and we understand what we're doing, we understand how to handle the firearm, the fear goes away, and it can be done in a responsible way. But by preventing people from the knowledge, keeping them away from learning, is how it keeps people scared and how it keeps the anti-gun narrative alive.
9:56 is our time. I'm going to try to squeeze in one more quick call here. Caller, I thank you for holding. You're on KRMS. Go ahead.
Yeah, this gun control thing that's going on in this country, it's a real simple solution. If you commit a crime with a gun, you get an automatic 50-year sentence. If you kill somebody with a gun, it's automatic life and equality in sentencing across the socioeconomic borders that we have in this country. If you get caught with an illegal weapon, it's an automatic 20-year sentence. There's no plea bargains. There's no nothing. You actually go to jail. I guarantee a gun crime would go way down.
Thank you for your phone call. And, Dan, that is going to wrap up our segment here this morning. Always a pleasure, sir. Folks, I encourage you to check out Good Gun, Bad Guy and also Good Gun, Bad Guy 2. And we've talked with the author here this morning, Dan Wos, on the program. I'll be in touch with you again, sir, and we'll get you back on here ASAP.
KB, thanks so much. It's always a great time on your show.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
a good one.
Absolutely. Dan Wos. 9:58. Got to take a quick break. Should take us up to the top of the hour. CBS Local News, and then we'll begin hour 2 of the KRMS Morning Magazine.
You've heard your mechanic talk about how your car doesn't run well when the filter's dirty, right? Well, it's the same thing with your home's heating and cooling system. And B&B Heating and Cooling wants to make sure your home feels just right. So every Friday, it's Free Filter Friday at B&B Heating and Cooling. Once you sign up at bbhvac.com or stop by their location, you'll get one free filter once a month. For more info, go to bbhvac.com or freefilterfriday.com.
Just right, never felt so good. B&B Heating and Cooling.
The next time you call your internet or phone company, say these 3 letters, M-I-Z. If they don't respond with Z-O-U, then you can be sure they're not local. At Socket, 100% of our employees live here in Missouri. So you're not just our customers, you're our friends and neighbors. We bet the other guys can't say that. Socket. Calls answered locally. Techie stuff explained simply. Local phone, internet, and data. Socket.net.
This weekend, it's the Lake of the Ozarks Marine Dealers April In-Water Boat Show. April 20th through 22nd at Dog Days Bar and Grill at the 19-mile marker. A record number of dealers and boat lines. New 2018s, value price 17s, pre-owned, demos, and even brokered boats in the water. Ready to fire up. For more information, go to ozarkboatshow.com. $1,000 of free gas given away at the show. Park at the Topsider and ride the shuttle to the show. Don't miss the boats.
9:59 is our time. I want to say thanks again to Dan Wos, and thanks to all of you folks for taking the time to call. Hour number 2, we'll talk it over with Susie Danforth and Cindy Van Hook about some upcoming events on the Parkway West. Mary Kay Von Brendel joins me as well to talk a little bit more about what's coming up at Ozarks Amphitheater right here on KRMS.
The voice of the lake, KRMS. Osage Beach, 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 KRMS.